Once again, I have to hand it to the 22 Shots of Moodz and Horror Crew. I never even heard about this director up until the hype around this film Parasite, which won the Oscar for Best Picture, Best Writer, Best Director, Best Foreign Film. Like, it's crazy that this guy just kind of came out of the woodwork, for me at least. So the 22 Shots crew put up the podcast, episode 177, which I highly recommend. They delve into some of Bong Joon-Ho's previous works, such as Memories of Murder, The Host, and Mother. So I went ahead and I watched Memories of Murder, I watched The Host, didn't watch Mother yet, but I also watched Parasite. And my God, I love this fucking director. The thing is with these films, and I'm going to kind of go into a bit of, into them individually to some degree, but the thing with this guy is, like, I love him as a person because, as a matter of fact, before I think the hype around Parasite, I think Bong Joon-ho was, I think he was a meme kind of where he was talking about, a meme in a good way where he was talking about the language barrier with cinema and stuff like that, and like how, like, if you can look past the subtitles, if you can just fucking suck it up and read the subtitles, you'll enter a world of films that you've never known, type of thing. And it's amazingly true. It's totally fucking true. And over the last couple of years, with my diving into international movies, I'm just finding, like, these fantastic films, like the films of Dario Argento, which, like I said in the Argento episode, before I seen the Animal trilogy, I'd only seen Suspiria, and I was missing out on all these classic giallos, So it's definitely, you got to widen your spectrum. Don't just stay within North American films, because you're missing out if that's the case. And real quick, before I get into the films, I just want to discuss a few things. So I have watched the 22 Shots review, and then I just kind of like Googled Parasite, and I after I'd seen it, and I got so many different types of reviews, and even like videos of people like ranting and raving about the film winning the Oscar and stuff. And like, I don't give a shit about the Oscars. It doesn't matter to me. I'm happy it won. Like, the last time that, like, the Oscars persuaded me to watch a film was the movie Moonlight, which was like, it was okay, but I was like, this is whatever. This film Parasite is fucking awesome. It's goddamn awesome. So quickly, and also one more thing I gotta point out, like, I don't watch the Oscars, but I watch clips from the Oscars of years past, and even modern ones, just to kind of get a taste of what it's like. Like, Bong Joon-ho wins, I don't know which award he was winning, but in the middle of his acceptance speech, he shouts out Martin Scorsese and basically points him out as like a point of inspiration, and Martin Scorsese gets a fucking standing ovation.
Thank you so much. When I was young and studying cinema, there was a saying that I carved deep into my heart, which is, the most personal is the most creative.
그 말은 that quote was from our great Martin Scorsese. So
like, this is the kind of guy that, like, you can tell. And like, the thing is, I was thinking about this in my garage earlier when I was like prepping for this video, so to speak. It's crazy that, like, here's a kid from South Korea, right, where like the success rate, I assume, isn't high. It's not high anywhere, in terms of like getting international success, like the way these guys have made. But here's a kid from Korea looking up to a kid from Little Italy, and like, it just goes to show you that, like, cinema and like movies and shit like that, man, like, this shit runs deep, and it inspires people, and it creates good movies, create good filmmakers, because if it wasn't for Scorsese, maybe Bong Joon-ho might not have started directing films, and I think that's such a solid thing for him to do that in the middle of his acceptance. And now being not a veteran of his films, but I've seen the 3 that I'm going to talk about in this video. Like, I think he's so good. Like, I even like last night, my brother, he was kind of like in and out of the house or whatever, but he was seeing me watch this movie, and he was like, what are these? Like, what are you watching? And I was like, well, this is fucking The Host, man. It's like this crazy Korean fucking mutated fish movie, you know, and it's just cool as hell. And like, let's start off in the order of how I watch these movies. So Memories of Murder stars, and I'm gonna try my best to do these names justice. Song Kang-ho and Kim Sang-kung stars Detective Park and Detective So, and basically there's these two detectives who are trying to solve these series of rape murders. And once again, with like the fucking rape slowly creeping its way into my videos, but these two detectives, like they're kind of like blue collary kind of guys, and they're not used to this kind of shit happening in their town. Like the methods they use in order to get information out of like suspects is outrageous. And like they said in 22 Shots, like the amount of drop kicks that happen in this movie, and they're not even like comical. Like they're comical in a way, but they're not like it's crazy. Okay, this guy has a hell of a sense of humor, and I love it. I fucking love it. But basically, these two cops, they can't handle the situation, and a cop gets sent in from the big city, so to speak, and he's there to help, you know, in the investigation. And basically, like these two bumbling cops, and like basically, if you've seen Boondock Saints, you know how Willem Dafoe shows up on the crime scene. He shows up on the crime scene, and he's like listening to these guys talk about their possible leads, and then he just like crushes their things. This guy in Memories of Murder does that in a more subtle way, you know what I mean? And I really like that. From there, you got a movie about these detectives trying to solve some shit, and this is actually based on truths. This is a movie that I'm not going to hold back on the spoilers, because I think it's interesting to point out that this was a true story, and it's like it's like one of those situations where the killer gets away, and years later they found the killer. So like last year they found the actual killer from these fucking movies. Like this movie from 2003, the murders happened like in the 80s, early 90s, and then they catch the guy in 2019. So that's interesting. But apparently the guy's already doing life. So like I was saying to my girlfriend, like, okay, so what? They're gonna give, like, the guy's doing life, like what the fuck can they possibly do? Like kill him? Like that's just gonna, he'd probably be happy, you know? Like who the fuck knows? But yeah, this is a rather quality film with excellent camera work. For some reason, like these films from like these South Korean films specifically, to me, they have such a crisp sense of cinematography. Like everything is just so in focus, and it's mesmerizing, man. So let's move on to The Host, which is the second film that I watched by Bong Joon-Ho. Once again, it stars Song Kang-ho. So he plays a slacker in this film. Basically, he works a convenience store. It's kind of like a weird, like, lakefront variety store. It's strange, but I'm sure it's common over there. He's working there, and he's saving up for he's saving up all these coins in order to buy his daughter a cell phone, and I think that's really sweet. From the beginning of the film, you don't really know that the family's disconnected, but you do find out that the sister of our lead is an Olympian, and they're watching her on TV, like shooting arrows and shit. I forget what that's called, archery. Now, at the same time that these people are living this sort of ordinary life, or semi-ordinary life, if you have an Olympian in your family, I guess that would kind of be, you'd probably be pretty proud of that. As a matter of fact, now that I think about it, this director, Bong Joon-ho, he must have something with Olympics. Like maybe he's related to somebody in the Olympics or something like that, because I notice in The Host, there's the Olympic medal, and even in Parasite, the Olympic medal comes back. So that's interesting. I just thought about that just now. But anyways, I'm getting a little fucking far ahead of myself here. So these guys that work at a morgue, and one of them's actually Herschel from The Walking Dead. It's actually the only English-speaking scene in the film. But they're working in this morgue. And basically, for some reason, Herschel is just like to his partner. He's like, pour this formaldehyde down the drain because they're dusty. The tops of the bottle are dusty. Like, come on, what the fuck? Are you kidding me? Like, I don't think that shit's cheap, you know? Like, I don't even know. Like, formaldehyde is used to embalm, right? Embalming fluid, I'm pretty sure. But the guy listens, and he pours all this fucking embalming fluid, and it's like mega bottles. There's actually a really good slider shot where it showcases all the bottles that he's dumped, which is like probably in the hundreds. It's nuts. And all this formaldehyde goes right into the river, and it mutates this fucking fish. And the movie is basically about this fish getting a hold of our hero's daughter. And it's about the family coming together, which consists of the archer, the slacker, the grandfather or father, and the long-lost brother who ran off to college. And they're a dysfunctional family. And it's all about them coming together to save the daughter. And that's all I can really say about the film, because this is one of those ones where you do it has its twists and turns. You know what I mean? It's not like the cut and dry, or the not cut and paste, not in a bad way, but like it's not like the kind of film like Memories of Murder where it has the like the Zodiac syndrome where you don't know the murder. Like, it's based on a true case, so you may or may not know the story. But with this film, like you're not gonna know. I think this is an original story written by Bong Joon-Ho, and it's incredible. Like, I mean, the CG fish, like, I mean, it's not good. It's definitely not good, but it's not terrible. You know what I mean? And the acting and the cinematography keeps you in line with the film. Like, I looked past the horrible, like, it's not horrible CG, but like, it's not practical. And with this kind of film, like, they wouldn't have been able to do practical with all the stuff they wanted to do and make it practical to the budget. You know what I mean? So that's where CG comes into effect. And I think this film is from 2006. I do believe it has aged well. But discovering like a new director like this means a lot to me, because I've always had hope, but it instills hope, and it makes me aspire, like, because being an amateur filmmaker myself, like seeing people strive like this, and doing their shout outs to Martin Scorsese at the fucking Oscars when you're winning your fucking 4th award of the night, like, man, it's so inspirational, because like the more I watch these foreign films, like the more inspired I get. We're gonna end this with Parasite. Parasite is a film much like Psycho. You do not want to fucking know anything about it, and I'll leave it at that. Don't fucking Wikipedia it. Don't do anything. Just watch it. Yeah, once again, I want to shout out 22 Shotz of Moodz and Horror. I got a Facebook page, Blundzilla Video. Check that out if you're down. I got an Instagram. Check that out if you're down. I just post links to the videos, pictures, articles, music videos, and like shit that I like, so you can check that stuff out if you're down. Thanks for watching, and thanks for subscribing, and thanks, shout out to Danny B of the Trash Dash, because a lot of people came over from your channel and told me, hey, Trash Dash sent me, so I was like, yo, I fuck with the Trash Dash. So yeah, adios.